So next we're going to start working with some of the geometry tools. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a rectangle. So over here on the left, you can see in the geometry tools, we've got a tool called Create Rectangle, which is what we're looking for. So I'm going to click on that. And when I click on any tool on the left-hand side, you'll see that the functions of that tool appear over here on the right. Now, a couple things I want you to notice. One is you can see that it's giving us just basically the heading of all of the different functions of this tool. But in some cases, I want to get a little bit more information on what each of these functions will do. And you'll notice that there's this little pink book up in the top left-hand corner in this tool settings rectangle window. If I click on it, what you'll notice is that it gives me a brief description of what each of these functions will do. For example, choose whether you want a perfect square or a rectangle. Under corners, corner fillets can also be created by dragging the fillets to the required size using handles at the corner of the dash preview shape, and so on. So it's a little brief description, almost like a handy help that you can utilize just to get a better idea what the tool is capable of doing. So you can see that first of all we have the choice between a square and a rectangle. In this case we're going to create a square, and we're going to create a square with a width of 8 inches, and we could choose to either have a corner radius, an external corner radius like you see here, or an inverted corner where the corner would be going the opposite way. And we can also set the center point. So in this case, it's automatically put the center point at x6 and y minus 6, which is basically the center of our material. And we could also change the rotation. So if we wanted, we could make this rectangle or square on a 45-degree angle or a 60-degree angle, and so on. I'm going to very simply click Create, and you can see that we've created an 8-inch by 8-inch rectangle in the center of our material. So we're going to close that tool. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to go over here and we're going to create a circle. Now, we're going to do it a little bit different this time. You can see we can go over here and we could actually establish the size and the location of the circle, but we're not going to do that. What we're going to do instead is we're going to just basically freehand draw this circle. Now, there are a couple of functions within ArtCAM Express that you want to be conscious of. One of them is that the cursor change indicates that something different is happening. Now, if you look at the cursor right now, you've got this set of crosshairs. I want you to notice as I move this cursor to the top left corner of my material, you'll notice something changes. You'll notice that the crosshairs now have a rectangle or a square in the center of them. And what that's basically letting us know is that we're locked onto that corner of that rectangle that we've created. So if I push my left mouse button down and start to draw that circle, you can say no matter how large or small I make the circle, it's locked onto the corner of that rectangle. Now that's quite a handy tool. So I'm going to make it about the size that you see there, and when I'm done, the other thing that is very interesting about ArtCAM Express is the power that you have in the right mouse click. So right now I've created the circle, but it hasn't completed the operation. When I right click, not only did it create the circle, as you can see, but you'll also notice that it put the tool away. Many of the tools in ArtCAM Express, basically the right click will complete the operation for us. So we've created a circle. We've not established the size of that circle, but we have created it, and it is locked over the top left corner of our rectangle. So now what we're going to do is we're going to resize this circle to be exactly the size that we want. And over here you can see we have a tool called Transform. I'm going to click on Transform, and over on the left-hand side you can see there are several different functions in this Transform tool. I can change the scale and size of our circle. I can change its origin position. I can move it a specific distance along the X or the Y coordinate. I can rotate it, or I can shear it, or basically change its perspective. So it's kind of stretched, if you will. So what we're going to do in this case, we're going to change the size and scale, and size of our rectangle. You'll notice here that it says maintain aspect ratio, and it's got this lock. What that's basically telling us is that by maintaining aspect ratio, if I change the height, I've got it locked so that the width will change proportionately. So it maintains the circle. If I unlock this and change the width, the height would not change, and it would no longer be a circle, it would be an ellipse. So when I click Apply, you can see that it changed the circle to a 2-inch by 2-inch circle, or it is now a 2-inch circle. And when I'm done that, I can close that tool. The next tool that we're going to use is again over here on the left-hand side, and it's a tool called Creating a Polyline. And essentially that's just a nice CAD term for drawing a line. Now this tool can be used a couple of different ways. First thing I can do with this tool is I can select it, and I'm going to move over here to the left side of our workspace. Now you'll notice as I'm moving this cursor, you can see all of the cursor position and the last points are being indicated here. I also have the ability to actually type specific coordinates in. I can move my cursor a specific distance along the X and Y. I can move it to a specific point, or I can actually draw a line using a specific degree, angle, and length of line. In this case, I'm just going to draw a line. Now I want you to notice as I push my left mouse button down, and as I begin to move, I'm still holding down my left mouse button, but you'll notice as I move my cursor, wherever I move my cursor, it's as though I have pushed my pen down onto the paper and not taken it off. So it's drawing wherever my cursor goes. And I'll be honest with you, other than drawing my own signature, I'm not sure what I'd ever use that tool for. I'm just going to delete that because that's not at all what I was looking for. I'm going to go back and I'm going to pick the same tool again, create Polyline. I'm going to use it a little bit different this time. This time what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my start point by using my left mouse button. But I'm now going to release the left mouse button. I'm moving the mouse, but I'm not holding down the left mouse button, and see how different the tool reacts this time. Basically what the tool is waiting for us to do is to establish what the next point is, and when we do, it's going to draw that line. Now, again, I mentioned earlier that when the cursor makes a change, then it's identifying that something is happening. And now I want you to watch as I move the cursor along. When I get to the horizontal plane, it changes from what you see here, this set of crosshairs, to basically the line with the circle through it. And that line with the circle through it is basically establishing that we are on the horizontal plane. So if I left mouse click, you'll see that it established the next point, which now created the straight line for us. And if I wanted to, I could go over here and create several other points by just left click, left click, left click, and it will create all those points. But in this case, all I wanted to do is draw a straight line. So to complete the operation, I just very simply right click. And as I mentioned before, not only does it complete the operation, but it puts that tool away. And last thing, I'm just going to click Center in Model, and I'm going to center that line in the center of our model. I'm going to go over here and pick the same tool, create Polyline. I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the vertical plane this time. So my start point at the top, left click, release the left mouse button. Come down to the bottom, find my vertical plane. It does the same thing as it does in the horizontal plane. Left click to set my next point. Right click to complete the operation, and center.